Welcome to Promo Kitchen's newest educational series, Meet Us in the Kitchen. The kitchen is where industry leaders and independent minds come together to whip up a feast of fresh ideas. The volunteers at Promo Kitchen are thrilled to serve you a brand new educational series that's packed with relevant bite-sized insights and actionable strategies. Join other promo pioneers and watch these merch misfits spice up the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another amazing episode of Meet Us in the Kitchen. Our Promo Kitchen series continues. I am surrounded by greatness. Carson Roncketto, Cola Henderson, Mr. Bobby Lehew, the one and only. All right, I do have something I was going to surprise you with, and here it is if you guys are kind of ready for this. So one of the things that I like to do is I don't have nearly the library behind me that Mr. Lehew has, but and there are no authors from Japan and there's no poetry. However, Bobby, I know you're going to know this name, Jack Trout. Jack Trout introduced the concept, at least this is my opinion. He introduced this concept of really the differentiation, because he was the one I think came up with the statement, don't try to be better, try to be different. And his book in 2000, which was Differentiate or Die, emphasized that point. Here we are hanging out in Carson's kitchen, and I think it's so easy, and we know this, like intuitively, we're in a saturated market. We're in this noisy, confusing, chaotic place. And I think that rebrand and being bold and being different is going to, when we are bold and different, it's even more effective. It's like the multiplier.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Don't try to be better, try to be different. And this whole idea of, differentiation isn't new, but I think it's got a new life right now in 2024. At least it does on my mind. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Bobby, I want to go to you first on that. What do you think?
It's funny you asked this because something I noticed also post-pandemic, I'm sorry I keep bringing it up, but it's a definite marker in terms of the maturity of the industry. And what happened after that was that a lot of distributors surprisingly started providing a lot of the same services. So prior to that, you could almost line up the industry in certain categories. You had company store distributors. You had people who were agency-minded distributors. You had people who wouldn't delve or dabble in either of those categories. Post-pandemic, though, you had everybody doing a little bit of everything. And something I noticed that's a little bit tragic for our industry is that a lot of people ended up providing the same services, therefore they go to market with the same services. So you could line up 10 websites from the industry and see that they're all offering the same service. Here's the difference though. Differentiate or die, back to Jack Trout. If you lined up their top 5 clients and the projects they were doing for those clients, that's where you're going to see the differentiation. You're going to see the fact that maybe I work with the finance industry and I do finance like no one else. I know a distributor who works in the finance industry. They have a podcast for the finance industry, not for the promo industry, for the finance industry, but they can tell you everything about the inner workings of the finance industry. And so there's that differentiation, I think, is more following our clients rather than services, because if you start following services like screen printers, they kind of all have the same machines, they all have the same ink. Yeah, they might be a little special in this little area, but a lot of it has to do with the clients we serve. So I think that's where the differentiation really.
No, I like that. I think there's gold right there for sure, for sure. How does that play over for you two? Carson, let's go with you. We're in your kitchen. By the way, are there any chips? I'm starting to get the munchies.
Gosh, Jay, I should have had some
Sorry.
for you.
He's a tough guest.
What's your favorite chip, Jay, for next time in my kitchen?
My favorite chips are tacos.
Taco chips? Yeah. Taco shells crunched up as chips.
Sure, why not? Next time.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're all, like you were saying earlier, Cola, with a rebrand, that conversation has to be ongoing, as does differentiation. We're always thinking about how we're going to stand out, how we're going to capture attention. There's a lot of companies that do what we do, some that do it really, really well, like Milo, and like many others. So I think it's just about, and also I think, differentiation, what's important to one client may be different than another.
True.
For us, so our tagline is, you used the word bold earlier, it's never boring, always bold. So we lean really heavily into curating ideas and solutions that are just beyond what you think of when you think of promotional merchandise.
Love it.
Yeah.
Never boring, always bold. Did I get that right?
Never boring, always bold.
Oh,
And
just the fact that you
so,
put never in there, you're like laying it down. You're like,
right.
boom.
And back to what you said earlier, Bobby, that's something that we want clients and prospects to catch on to and to know about us, but it's also a rallying cry for our team as they're putting together ideas and pitch decks, and it gives
Yeah.
them sort of a framework for our ways of working.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I love it. Cola, what do you think? Differentiate or die? What do you, did that play into it? You know, being bold, whether it's part of Carson's tagline or not, I think that sets us up, right? And hopefully, please, hopefully, it's never in my world. It's one of the things I like least is when people start talking about price as a differentiator. I just think that's
Mhm.
almost never going to work well for them or for us. But outside of price, what are some of the things that maybe you think of when I say differentiate or die? Did that come up? Is that on your radar?
Absolutely. I think I'll just agree with what Carson said. Like that never stops either of how are we being different. And our previous tagline with Soul and Swag was positively different. And we didn't spend a ton of time figuring it out. We didn't have time. But as we looked at it, our strengths, our top Gallup strengths with my mom, my aunt, and I, who works for us, was positivity. And we knew that we were positive, happy people, and we wanted to be different. So while that tagline did not describe at all what we do in this industry, we were hoping that it attracted enough people to ask questions. Who are you and what do you do? And as that started, we started to see more of it kind of within the industry because we were getting that feedback. I loved when people would come into our studio space and they would talk about how beautiful it is, how well designed it is. But my favorite thing that people would say was, "You guys are doing things different,"
Mm.
and that came from reps that were going all around town seeing other distributors. And so I think the word different has so important to us from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the rebrand, it's just never stopped, right? And then we just launched a marketing campaign. I think we just did our 10th week this week, and every week, and it's called the Milo Mag. I'd love to send it to you guys so you guys can check it out. But we now have
Please.
a website for it too, and it's just milomag.com. And it was my mom's brainchild. I'm pretty sure she should have been on the call, not me.
Why did we bring Angie into my kitchen? I don't.
Angie's always invited into Carson's
And Angie
kitchen.
loves margaritas. And her
True.
birthday's on Cinco de Mayo. So
True.
really,
Oh,
I'm not the right person to be here.
please.
But
Yes,
we
you are.
knew we were pushed by a business coach to do some more consistent email marketing.
Yes.
And she came up with this whole 8-week campaign, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, you ready to launch it? And she hated it. She was like, nope, I hate it. It's bad. I don't want to read it. And somehow that sparked a brainchild for her to launch the Milo Mag. And so it looks like a magazine. It feels
Cool.
like that. It allows us to be in touch with our clients every week. So anyway, stuff like that
Sounds
I think
different. It sounds
it's
different.
different.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
cool.
goal, right? Is to feel different, and when people come into our space, not to feel like they're coming to shop for promo.
Right.
Yeah.
Feeling like they're coming to have an experience and build off of their brand and invest into their brand with whatever they're trying to do.
That's great. Well, we're getting close to our time limit here. I want to end on some positives and give you a chance while we're just chilling in Carson's kitchen to and it's a question that I often hear Bobby ask from stage, so I can't wait to ask him this question. I've kind of been secretly waiting for this moment for maybe a year or two, Bobby. So because now I can actually officially put you on the spot,
Yeah.
and you can't duck. You can't duck in
Right.
Carson's kitchen. You can't
Right.
deflect. You have to own it. Let's talk about brands we love. In the industry, one or two that come to mind. Put yourself first. Got that. Who's in second and third place? Okay.
Well, we know that's me and Carson, so just
Obviously,
go
Correct.
with
right.
that.
Correct. We know, Bobby. We know
I
those
already
are the first
mentioned.
two. One
I
and
already
two.
mentioned Super Deluxe. I already mentioned Milo.
Okay.
There are two brands I love in the industry. This is always a dangerous question. When you have so many friends in the industry,
Oh,
right?
I
Two
said no
brands.
ducking, no
I
deflecting.
know.
Just
I know.
own it, man.
Original favorites. I think they do a really good job with their
Okay.
brand. I think they also to Cola's point earlier, where she talked about and both of you actually said it. Both Carson and Cola said, be sure that you're not inviting the wrong type of client Original Favorites is a really cool clothing brand that says we are for a certain type of client. It's a high-end fleece wear and sweatshirts, and they have been doing branding right. Their mobile app, everything about the ethos that they've built. My second favorite brand will surprise no one, but I have different reasons why I love this brand. We're probably all going to say Numo, or they would hit our list,
That
right?
was mine.
I stole yours, didn't I, Carson? So, but here's the reason. I have to tell you the reason why I love Numo so much, and it's because I kind of had the rare opportunity to go down to Mexico and be in their factory, right?
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing about what Numo has done and what Jim and his team have done is they've been able to present themselves as makers. And that's the brand ethos that they have. And they are like this, but they are a big company. But you don't feel that. You feel like that you have a personal touch with both what they make and the products, the types of products they make. And when you go to their factory and you see them making the material, you don't get the impression that this is a big promo conglomerate. You get the impression that these are makers and craftsmen. And so what I sort of love is how they've been able to take that ethos that is makers and craftsmen and communicate that out to the industry in a way that's both compelling, and enigmatic, charismatic, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like it's just there's all kinds of, it's inside out. I think it's an inside out job.
Love that. Craftsmanship, artisanship,
Yeah.
being makers versus marketers. I always get into that argument with your, what's that guy's name that's in charge of that Common SKU company? I can't think of his name right now. Anyway,
Jack.
So yeah, Rico Suave? No. Carson, what about you? So he took yours. That's not cool.
No,
That's not even.
I'm just gonna double down.
Okay, but you might have different reasons, and we're in
Well,
your kitchen, so
yeah, I have to double down on Numo. So they are unequivocally who they are.
I like that
And
statement.
they are. And I think one of the things that I love about that brand is it makes me excited about what we do.
Yeah.
When when our whole team, I think would agree, if you asked the entire Super Deluxe team their favorite brand in the industry, Numo would at least hit their top 3. It makes us all excited to share it with our clients. I think beyond just sort of the look and feel of Numo, they do a fantastic job with their messaging. They go to market in a way that is so fresh comparatively to, I think, many others within our industry. So sorry y'all, but I gotta
No reason to apologize. And I think
it's so different. Like to your point earlier on different, like Numo, when they invested in this and started coming out with some of the imagery and some of these things, you could see immediately it's beautiful, but it's not for everybody. It's more work. There's more creative aspects that go into most of their products because they build it from scratch and they're makers. So them owning the fact that we know this might not work for everybody, but it's going to be cool shit and it's going to be beautiful and it's going to be well made and we're going to take care of our people. It's just awesome.
So did we just get the trifecta? Cola, are you going in on Numo too?
No, I'll do a different one.
Oh, okay, great. Because I was just about to say, meet us in the kitchen. This episode was brought to you by Numo.
Brought to you by Numo. That's right.
Jim, you didn't know you were sponsoring. But,
well, yeah, the check's in the mail, right, Jim? Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's so hard. And I at first was thinking of distributors before.
Oh, good. Because I thought good. Yes.
So I'll name a couple, which is so hard because there's so many awesome ones. And I'm in a Ripple group with amazing women and these amazing.
Oh, shine the light bright, girl. Let's go.
Oh, there's just so many of them. But I have to go back to my first SKU camp, which is where I first met Carson. She had been in the industry, I think, for 2 weeks.
Yeah, 5.
And we heard a few people speak that still to this day, I can hear things or see things from those conversations or from those presentations. And that was Denise with Fairwear and what they're doing with their company and the effort and dedication they put into being a B Corp is incredible. Danny Rosen with Brand Fuel.
Yay.
I mean, talk about just powerhouse and energy and all the things. I can remember him talking about give back programs and that you didn't have to start with a bunch of money, just start with some time. Yeah. So we've done that from the get-go. And then the other one, I think just because he's a good-looking guy, would be Ted from Anthem Branding. He's just
I like your reasoning, Cola. That's great. I love that.
That's it. No, but all those brands, if you follow along just from when I first met them, to see what they're doing to
Yeah.
continually try and be different is just inspiring. I think it
Great
helps the
brand.
rest of us, like, just keeps bringing us all up. It elevates all of us to do things differently.
Yeah.
Love those answers.
I
You guys are awesome.
want to add one more.
Yes,
Mine
please
and
do.
Cola's dear friend, Rinyet Brand Aid. That's another brand that's just
Oh
like,
God, you had to bring up Renya Nelson
I just had
seriously?
to
God,
do it.
no.
I just had to do
How
it.
does she do
Hey,
this? How does she get this?
when
Anyway,
are we gonna
yes,
get
I'm with
Rinya in
you.
the kitchen? Wouldn't that be a hoot?
Oh, it would be
And
spicy. I'm happy to do that.
yeah, Brand Aid is just so cool. It's such
Yeah.
a cool brand. They are going back to like just being exactly who they are.
Yes,
It's not just about like what I think is a really strong brand identity. Like they do a lot in the community that they're in Salt Lake.
absolutely,
They're like
absolutely.
unabashed in what they stand for. And no matter what that is, I think that that's really cool to take that approach in your business and in your brand. So shout out Brand Aid.
Something
No, you
something you
got it.
mentioned, Carson and Cola both, is that when you look at the founders of those organizations, the brands emanate from who they are as people.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been really interesting. So to back to Mark and Catherine, I've seen that with commonsku, right? You see
Yep.
commonsku
Yep.
as this, on one hand, this quirky, cool brand, on the other hand, obsessed with efficiency and helping people get the job done better. And it's a reflection of the founders. And the same thing with Renya, with Brand Aid, Denise and
Denise,
Sarah at Fairwear. It's like a
Danny.
core part of their being.
Yep.
Say, Danny, you can't
So
remove their
true.
passion, and it emanates in the brand. And I don't think you can ever step. In fact, one of the things that I'd recommend folks do if they're considering rebrand is first ask yourself, the number one question should not be where we can make money. It's what you're passionate about,
Yeah.
because everything else is going to follow if it follows that. And those are the great examples
Yeah.
of that.
They are, and all of those examples are wonderful. On my list also was Brand Aid, so thank you. Our friends Robert Fiveash and Danny Rosen are the Wonder Twins,
Yeah.
and forever linked at the hip and crazy in all the right ways. So Ren Nelson was also on my list, so thank you, Cola, because quite honestly, one of the best names in our industry, and just completely an epic badass on all levels. Anytime I get to hang out with her, it is immediately a great time. But I love what you guys said about the personality, and that brings us back to those feelings and those vibes and all of the things about the experience with each of those brands that all of you have mentioned. That's why I think you said them, is because they've somehow touched you, they've somehow connected with you on a deeper level than the stuff. And I love that about our industry, and I love that about all of those brands that you mentioned. So to each of them a shout out, and to each of you a shout out. Thank you so much. Is there anything else, Carson? Because we are in your kitchen. You are the hostess with the mostest. Should we say anything before we say goodbye?
When are we going to get back together again?
Yeah, when are we going to get back together? I think we should go to Bobby's house next. Are you guys up for that? Let's vote for
That
Bobby's
was a
house.
very boring time. You're very welcome to have a boring time with Bobby.
Well, we'll
This is-
bring
Hey,
we'll
you
bring
know
the
what?
margaritas, right?
Our bar at our studio is always open.
Yeah.
There you go. See,
And
Cola's the
I
place to
tell people
be.
this- I
Okay.
tell people this at every event. We go to Vegas, we invite people, Bobby being one of them, and nobody ever comes.
Oh,
So,
well then we'll go to Cola's place.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
There you
I
go.
love it.
we
Merch
are
you
ready.
love. Party at Merch you love. Line dancing. I can't wait to watch Bobby line dance in that bar. It's gonna happen, Bob. Just deal with it. So, but seriously, kidding, jokes aside, you guys are wonderful. You're my friends. I appreciate your time. We spent the last several minutes, 50 minutes now, according to the counter, talking about what I think is really although it's discussed a lot, I love the way we kind of peeled back some layers today, and I give each of you the credit. Thank you for sharing what you've done, how you've done it, Cola, and of course Carson, because you've walked the walk. Bobby, thank you for cleaning up our mess, because you're magical in every way, and we all know it. But it's
Jay,
been
thank you. Jay,
It's been
thank
so
you.
much fun. You're
Thanks
welcome.
for doing this. Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you. It's a promo kitchen. Meet us in the kitchen deluxe moment. Super deluxe. Get it? Oh, sorry. Well, I'll let you guys get back to whatever it was you were pretending to do. I guess work, and I'll do the same. And until then, meet us in the kitchen. And thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Carson. Thank you, Cola.
Thanks, Jim.
And hope to see you soon.
Thank you, buddy.
All right.
All right. See you, friends.
Bye.